What's up, everyone? Today I want to do a video talking about minimalism. What is minimalism? Minimalism really stems from the minimal, the idea that less is enough, and perhaps that less is more. Minimalism is like a room or a house or a closet, and what you would find in that space is fewer things of more value. So fewer clothes, fewer furniture, and perhaps more space. And within that emptiness, you discover something that's more valuable to you. And that value really stems from that idea that it's rare. And that rarity in a free market economy is going to provide value. And I think minimalism is so important, not just in the way you live in the external sphere, but also how you shape your mind, how you shape your emotions, how you react to things, and your inner self that I talk about a lot when it comes to seeing improvements in mastery, as well as in my craft right now, medical school, studying, but a variety of things, that inner self that could really stem from a minimalist influence could see a lot of results. So growing up, when I was starting my path of success, of mastery, I really bought into this idea of do as much as you possibly can, study as much as you can, do everything to the max of its potential, to work as hard as you possibly can. And I think there is some merit to that, especially in your growing phases. You should strive to be a hard worker. You should strive to do a lot. But crazy enough, I started noticing better results, things started going up when I started to do less, when I started to take a step back, find that time to dedicate the space. Think of your brain as a closet, okay? And you're only gonna focus on 5 pair of jeans, not 50. And those 5 pair of jeans are your core values, your core identities, your core principles, and what really shape you in terms of your external actions and how you behave. This could be your resources, okay? Say you're only limiting yourself to 3 or 4 resources, but you're gonna master them. You're only gonna limit yourself to doing a few things. And by doing that, by coming to acceptance with that, by coming to this idea that you're gonna be a master of few rather than a jack of all trades is huge. And I think it's one of the biggest, most revolutionary things that I've done in terms of yielding more progress, yielding more results, becoming more engaged but less attached in my day-to-day life. And I would strongly recommend that for everybody, because I think that we have this idea that has manifested through society, through our upbringing, through the, in a way, rational sense, that getting more, doing more is going to lead to more happiness, short-term, long-term, by giving that extra push, by getting that extra pair of shoes, by having the nicest computer, by having the nicest smartphone. Those kind of things, we are kind of trained, to engage those things as having a vastly positive influence on our life. Whereas we might actually become less engaged to the things that we have. We might become deluded by all the possessions that we have, that we're not paying enough attention, that we've lost that attention span to the few things that you do. So it's something that's been translating at the macrocosm of society, and in the microcosm of who you are as a person, in terms of how you manage that real estate, which is your brain, which is your head. You need to make that correlation, and you need to tell yourself, okay, I'm going to focus on a few things. If someone asks you, what are your interests? What do you like to do? What are your hobbies? What makes you happy? What makes you alive? Those are things that I think a lot of people don't have answers to, and often including myself, because we've deluded ourselves to so many things. So many interests, so many hobbies. What's your favorite shirt? I have 50 shirts that I like to wear. Your best friend. I have 1,000 friends. And these delusions perhaps take us away from how we identify to ourselves at our core. And building that strong inner core by identifying ourselves to a few things can then create and pave that path that we push ourselves down by having a strong identity. And that's probably the second step of me having yielded higher results is, first step again, to reiterate, is moving to a more minimalist strategy of finding my core values, my core identity, my core things that makes me tick, makes me who I am. And then the second thing is using those things to kind of gauge myself down a path, a road that I craft for myself on the basis of what I've identified as those core identities are. And what you notice among people who are successful is they either have a very strong outer, I guess you could say, self, or a very strong inner self. And outer self comes from tangible skills that they've picked up along the way. And you kind of need to have more outer self skills when you lack the inner self skills. That's the whole fake it till you make it idea that, okay, you're going to need to find different strategies to study. You're going to have to find different strategies to make a layup. Or, my field really comes from medical school, so really to stem ideas that revolve around that, I would say that you need to find different strategies to learn the same material. You're probably going to have to do flashcards, you're probably going to have to do questions, you're probably going to have to read the textbook, you're probably going to have to go to the lecture, you're probably going to have to be 100% engaged in your small group sessions and your clinical site visit. All of those things need to give you more value when your outer self, when you rely solely on your outer self, whereas when you rely on your inner self, which is the second type of people I see that are very successful, you don't need to do all of those things. You can focus on 2 or 3 things, not be too focused on what other people are doing, because your identity, your strong self, your core is intact, and you're going to rely on that belief of what that core is representing to push you to make good decisions. And obviously the best combination is to have both. Okay, you can't rely solely on your inner game. You seriously need to also have skills that relate to studying. You need to be a good student, you need to be organized. Even those 2 or 3 things that you're setting yourself out to master, you need to even really know what mastery is. So your outer self and your inner self, if you can see, have a very symbiotic relationship. They go hand in hand. But I believe that there needs to be an emphasis more on it, this idea of inner self. A lot of people don't really do that. There's a lot of people here that commonly experience a lot of stress, and sometimes myself too, and that those episodes of stress come from not having that strong inner core self that you can come back to, because you're so focused on everything that's going outside, you're so engaged on all these different things instead of honing yourself down to the few things that core idea of who you are has highlighted for you, kind of listed out for you. So that's my take on minimalism. Use it, if not the complete idea of minimalism, maybe the ingredients of minimalism, a few things that you could add that could lead to concrete changes that lead to more high results in your day-to-day life. But yeah, that's it for today. Signing off. Peace.